Derek Moore, thank you, sir.
Did you share it?
Wayne, you watch Wayne the Blessed, Leodonis, Howell. You watch every week, man. Thank
a lot
you so
of House
much
of
for
Judah
sharing.
people. He got a lot of support tonight. Keita Brown.
All right,
House of Judah.
Come on through.
Is Keita on here?
Yeah, I see it. Keita.
Yeah, thank you,
Elder
Desiree
Wayne
Rain.
Howe, share it, man. Thank you.
Yes.
Desiree, thank you so very much for sharing.
The other night at Boaz.
Yes, girl, you know
Thank
you're
you, Jay.
special.
Appreciate
Girl,
you,
know
brother.
special.
It's gonna be a good night tonight.
Numbers moving. I
TT
like it.
Yeah.
Tanika Caldwell, that's my niece.
All right.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, niece.
She
Thank you,
shared
niece.
it. Shared it.
Appreciate
J-Rock.
you.
That's your real niece? Or just like
That's
a play
Kobe
niece?
Robinson's sister.
Okay.
She's my niece.
You and Kobe Robinson are not related.
Well, we call ourselves brothers just like we do.
Brothers in Christ. Brothers
I
in
call
Christ.
your daughter niece.
You do.
And
Brothers
she's my
in
niece.
Christ.
But I know that Taylor's your niece. I don't know this lady.
We've never seen. We know not of you.
Don't you start it.
J-Rock go to your church, right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, y'all, we
That's
got
nephew.
52 people watching. We need 52 shares.
I'm Tony's niece. Okay.
So please, once you've done it, right type or done.
House of Judah trying to. What is the fish fry?
Fish fry, baby.
There you
better
go.
know it's Saturday. Don't you announce it for me.
Yes, sir.
You announce them snowballs.
Yes, sir.
Freedom.
Snowballs are not doing too well.
Snowballs by freedom.
Brown bought me more of his snow and his ball.
Oh, my. Snowballs are not doing well at freedom.
Yo, how much them snowballs? $1, $2, $3, $4, ain't it?
Bishop Ken Robinson got something to do with that.
Oh Lord, please don't have. Cause
Well, y'all come Saturday to the fish fry at House of Judah. House of Judah fish fry Saturday 12 to 8 p.m.
Oh, my God. Dwayne
Curbside
Simmons is watching.
pickup.
The living legend. The
Is
GOAT.
he?
Yeah.
Oh
He's
my
here.
God,
The GOAT.
my God.
Crazy
All
part
hail
time.
the power.
Come in all and say, I appreciate you telling me to preach.
Right.
That's me come to my church and say, what's your favorite scripture?
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Yeah.
He said, "Give me one word."
And I'll do that.
And
preach that.
Or he'll pick one off your banner and say, what does that say up there?
Right. And then
Building fund.
destroy your church. Destroy your church on building fund.
Felicia,
believe it.
thank you. Vanetta, thank you.
We up to 65, baby, 66. Y'all doing y'all thing tonight, our first night of Monday Night Raw. We taking our
Yeah.
time. We ain't going to rush the show. It's the first one. We're going to do what we do. It's Monday Night
Thank
Raw.
you, Kendra Kyler.
67, okay. Call Tredell. What up, Tredell, my guy? Tell the family we said what's up. Felicia said done. Share it for me. Do a watch party, Tredell. Kendra College. Kendra goes to, did she go to your church, y'all?
Whatever. Went to my
Where do
church.
I know Kendra? She's Kevin Tarry, I think.
Kendra, yeah.
Wait,
She's
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wait a minute,
She's
y'all.
visiting.
Can I ask y'all a question?
She visited Pastor Burton.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Sure.
What you want to say, Bishop?
What are you eating tonight? Bishop, what you say? Nutter? What's
Diabetes
Nutter.
crunch.
A diabetic coma.
Diabetes crunch.
Yo.
No, what is it called?
If y'all see him slip
Nutter
over,
butter.
let me know
No
what
more
happened.
Wednesdays. Only Monday Night Raw.
Why
now.
you always laughing
7:30.
at me all the time? Like, yo, you look like you got a disease trying to creep
He
up
talking
in
about
your
Marcus.
spirit.
A
I'm talking
chronic
about you,
illness.
Because you always laughing.
Just tell him,
You-
Marcus, I'm
you
not
don't
a part of the show.
You don't supposed to laugh when they talk about me. No, you out of that. Only family can laugh at me. You can't laugh at me when they talk about me. I'm great. Eat my nutty butter.
DJ
Shut
Crack.
nutty butter. Boy, you know you spell.
Oh,
Marcus
God.
is like Kumo D when he take his glasses off.
My man Marcus in the building, producing, shorty. We ready to rock and roll. Clay got
Hey,
us.
Call. Thanks for sharing.
Oh my God, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Candy Blue. That's called
Nikema.
Oh
you
yeah,
don't call,
she's a
dude.
monster
Yeah.
singer, man. Amazing singer.
yeah.
Briasia, please
Candy
share.
Blue.
Please share. Anthony Savoy, share it.
Yeah.
Is that Touche, Carol? I hope I'm
Yeah, I
saying
don't
it
know how you
right.
say that.
Touche,
Right.
Carol,
Anthony
please
Savoy.
share. Thank you so much.
We up to 74, shorty. Our numbers jumping.
Yeah,
I got
Briasia.
75
Yes,
here.
75?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get to this 100.
We up there.
Yeah,
Let's
when
go.
we hit the 100, my man Bishop Derek Truesdale.
Yeah.
My
He's a
guy.
grilling machine.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
Our numbers look
Brisket
good.
and ribs.
Yeah, he's responsible for a lot of
smoked
us getting
macaroni
his
and cheese.
guts. right.
Share it.
Blood pressure sandwich.
Right there you go. Right. This is called the comatose.
Y'all good though.
right.
Hey, Candied Blue, thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
sharing.
Candy.
Dante Burney, please
Yeah,
share.
Dante, what up?
Thank you, sir.
See you down the spot.
Yeah,
soon,
Bishop
too.
will make you a comatose sandwich, then go bench press 400 pounds.
Right.
J.R. Jones.
Like it's nothing.
Right, like it's nothing.
Come on, y'all. Get these numbers up. Do a
Lovely
share.
Lisa, please share. Thank you so much. JR Joyner, please share.
Yep.
And once you've shared it, type in shared or done.
You ready, Clay?
So we'll know. I'm ready to get to
You
it.
ready?
Let's
Ryan,
do
y'all
it.
ready?
I'm ready.
Monday
Night
Night Raw,
Raw.
baby.
Let's go. It's going
Let's
on.
get
All right.
raw.
Here we go. History. in the making.
Welcome to TNT. I saw
Y'all
T3
speak
this
for
week.
yourself with all this getting raw food. I don't want that in my spirit. The Lord has delivered me from a raw moment.
You got to strap him up. Strap him up, Jesus.
Bible said, put on your whole armor. All right, I'm sorry.
Gird up your loins.
Got to gird up your loins, baby.
Gird up your loins.
Leroy, what's going on in nothing?
Hey, listen.
He said in nothing.
In nothing. That's I'm from the world of nothing.
Right. What's going on?
Right. Let me offer to y'all something that has absolutely nothing to do with nothing.
Here we go.
I want to educate you guys tonight. Here it is.
Waste of my life.
Here it is from the animal kingdom for you. Did you know? And you're gonna love this.
You said you're gonna love
Wait a minute, it's coming from the animal kingdom. I'm already dead.
You said you're gonna love it.
I'm already dead.
Y'all gonna love this.
Oh, y'all gonna love this when I say it. The female octopus.
Okay. Wait a minute. You can stop it.
Has the female octopus has 56,000 babies at one time. What? And each baby is the size of a grain of rice. So you have to be very careful when you put it in plural.
So you
octopuses.
Hey, wait a minute. So that means he got deformed sperm count.
Just
they small as a grain.
No. They small as a grain, right? But they grow up and have large tentacles.
I don't know.
I'm just trying
to help y'all. Y'all didn't know that about the
brain cells dumber.
Right. You let this man tell us this, yo. Octopus.
The female octopus has
how many?
56,000 babies at one time. Y'all didn't know that. But you have to be very careful when you speak plurally.
Are the daddies all the same?
56,000 octopuses.
Is it one daddy or like you got?
It's one dad.
56,000?
Can get 56,000.
It's cheaper to keep.
Hercules.
It's cheaper to keep. I tell you that much.
56,000.
I'm just trying to help somebody.
The worst baby daddy in the world.
Be very careful of the octopuses.
That was great. Give him applause on that, Marcus. Marcus, please find him applause.
Antoine, we forgot to tell Leroy happy birthday, right?
Oh, yeah, man.
Leroy turned 52 years old.
51.
54 years old.
I would
51.
Oh,
you keep
sorry,
saying
54.
Okay, I know I'm the oldest in the room.
I would have called Antonio and had him sing with his nipples out. Happy birthday to you.
I was so
I don't want him no
disappointed in
sheer
Antonio,
shirts.
What happened?
You got to look at his page. He went to somebody's party with a lace
Tony
shirt
Fawcett,
on.
bro.
A lace shirt.
Yeah, with his nipples
All
out.
he had was his shoulders covered.
Who was this?
Antonio.
Little bro, Hill.
Call him out. Somebody call Antonio.
little brother.
Look at this.
Not the elder.
Somebody tell Antonio
Not an elder
log
anymore.
on.
He said he didn't believe that God called him to stay faithful to me.
Antonio, that shirt took me out of here this morning.
Ask him, did I text him and just disturb his whole day? I was so disappointed.
He had his breast out.
Baby, here it is.
Let's move on,
His
man.
Chippendales t-shirt.
It was very sheer.
Let's
My
move
little
on.
brother.
All right, that's a member of my church. Stop it.
And I love him, man. You know that's my brother.
I know your brother.
Y'all better not
We
touch
love
him.
him.
I know
Y'all
that.
crazy.
Y'all
We
better not
love
bomb
him.
him.
It was very painful.
I'm free to be me.
Let's go. Monday Night Raw. This is a different show tonight, y'all.
Yeah,
I can
I
tell.
know. Got a little spirit in it.
It's a little spirit in the room.
Sperm counts. And,
What happened before we got here?
breast out. All that. What is going on?
Gotta watch out for them octopuses, baby. That's all I want to say.
All right, Antoine, what's going on in Hollywood, brother?
So, let me tell y'all, in the music world, I don't even know if I want to give no information after Leroy said the octopuses. I'm sorry. So this is what they saying. So they said streaming wise, after all of those versus battles, all that other stuff that went on, they said the two people who received the most benefit from the verses was Erykah Badu and Jill Scott. Their streaming service downloads went up 217%.
Wow.
Just the day after they did theirs. Behind them was Beanie Man and Bounty Killer, which I ain't gonna lie, I didn't watch it. Then it was Babyface and Teddy Riley. So we got to give it up to the women on that one. They, out of everybody so far, they had the biggest numbers. Not only that, they are now seeing more streaming or more money.
Really?
Since the
I wonder
versus
how
battle.
Fred Hammond and Kirk Franklin did in this.
Oh, they made out.
I'm gonna look it up.
They
I'm
made
gonna look
out.
it up, bro. I'm
I
gonna
don't
look
know
it up.
about them like that.
Yeah, I ain't studied that one. So that's the music moment for everybody. You know, that's what's going on. The women are winning right now, and I got to give it to them, yo.
Yeah.
They winning. Octopuses are winning. Oh, but
Black girl magic.
matter of fact, all the octopuses, people getting entangled. Do I have to say that? What's that
Yeah, you
word?
said it.
What is the
Entanglement.
Entanglement.
Oh, do we want to? Ooh. That's a little touchy with it right there,
Entangled.
baby.
The Bible says, "Be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage." Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Are y'all surprised that the response towards Jada's infidelity has been a bit mild?
You know what
in
I'm
comparison
surprised
if
at?
it was remote.
I see that, Clay.
The pain in Will's face,
Baby.
was a pain
Yeah, he was
that
hurt.
said, "Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun."
Baby, he sat
He
back
was
in that
hurt.
chair and said,
He
no,
sat back in that chair and said,
I need to know.
He was hurt.
Which suggests, fellas, men can't handle what we let.
No, we can't handle it.
can't.
So when women,
Yeah, what
when
we
we
do to
cheat,
women.
We can't handle
or
it.
when we have been known to cheat, then women cheat. It's like I can't believe it. It's
Yeah,
just tough,
we can't take what we dish out. I know I can't.
Yeah, but
I'm keeping it
also
100.
I read somewhere that he may have been underage when they first started messing around.
I don't believe that.
I think he was, well, I mean,
19 is not underage.
Well, he
Little boy
was
toy.
young.
Yeah,
He was very young,
Okay.
but they were helping
sick.
healing each other. He was sick.
You know what? You gotta
That's
watch
what she
what you say
said.
tonight.
You know what I say?
you
You know what I say? Will's not leaving Jada.
Sexual
And Jada's not leaving Will.
No,
They'll never
baby.
get divorced. Because when you really love that one person, you will tolerate those types of dysfunctions and you'll use it as an argumentative tool later on in life. But he ain't leaving them.
And I mean, they've been swingers, quote unquote, rumored.
I heard that. I
For
don't-
years.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what
The
a
rule,
swinger is? I don't
okay, so the rule was with them that
Ask-
you
ask
Jada could
Antoine, he
sleep.
knows.
Wait a minute, you try to just do a little, you try to dig a little bit. Watch it, octopussy. I mean, pussies.
See, there you go.
Yo, they say that what is it? So Jada had to tell Will if she wanted to sleep with somebody, and then Will had to
he
tell
had to get
Jada,
permission.
but then they would do stuff together. That was the rule, though, so they couldn't go outside of the rules. So once they went outside
So
of
she
those
went
rules,
outside the rule.
then she cheated. That's why
But
it was.
this supposedly occurred when they were done.
Yeah,
That's by both of their
He left her.
admittance.
Now I'm gonna tell you what I noticed to see if y'all agree. I might have been wrong
Okay.
on this. So if you notice in that interview when he said what he said, she also said he said I was done with you, and she said yes you were, as if to say he left her. He didn't want. She still wanted it,
yeah.
but he cut her off. So really, she was in a hurt place.
I don't think they should have brought that to the public, though. I think they should have kept
Well, they
that kind
had
of
to
private.
because
He really didn't have
the
a
young man
choice.
brought it out.
The public took it.
So he might have won off of it then.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did
he did.
because his streams probably went up.
Yeah,
he
he
sold
got
more
it.
albums.
Well, he was
I
coming,
never
he was
heard of
coming
that
out
guy.
with a record.
Yeah, I never heard of
August,
him
I
until
think. He had,
then.
like, an album.
Yeah.
He did one album. He had what was August hits was go ahead and keep talking. I tell you.
And apparently, when he released it, he said that he wrote songs about her. So everybody, of course,
I
went
didn't
back
know that.
to hear the lyrics to see what
Don't
he
you
was
think
saying.
things should be private again? I mean, share with my friends and stuff like that.
This
but-
generation is different, man.
Yeah, man. I
They're
don't believe
like,
third
It's,
should
it's
be
the
brought
generation of exposure.
they know how to keep a secret.
out. I never go to the room
Wait
red.
to share.
I ain't going
Right,
to my
right,
red
right.
table. I
Right,
wear
right.
red bottoms, but I ain't wearing no red table.
I said I thank God they had this back in our day, baby.
Melvin Taylor said, "Don't tell it all."
Don't tell it all.
He
Right,
did.
you can't tell
Don't
it
tell
all.
it all.
And the church world is so we
But
love
even
that.
women, even back in the day, a woman, and I'm not saying it's right, but she would have a married guy and would not tell. She would come to the funeral, sit in the back, cry
Very
a little
discreet.
bit, be very quiet and discreet. Nowadays, it's a different time now.
It's different. Yo,
We
they-
just got to tell it.
That's because these side chicks is winning from what they saying.
Yeah, it's weird because it seems like now it's cool to be the side chick and you're corny if you're the wife.
That's crazy.
Well,
I'm
that's,
just saying,
that's,
like, think about,
that's
like-
unsettling.
That's tough. Oh, that's good.
Think about the what's the show that
love
about the girl was dating the president, he was married, and Scandal.
Young Scandal.
Like
Yeah.
people were cheering for the side chick to take the president from his wife.
Oh yeah. I think. Wait a minute.
Society has changed.
So yeah, they were
Scandal.
cheering. Yeah. Scandal. Yep.
Yeah, like they were like really on her
Kerry
side.
Washington.
Kerry Washington. Like society has changed so much.
That's true, yo.
Where now the wife is like corn. You're a cornball if you're the wife, and
Isn't that crazy?
And you're dope if you're like
Mentally,
the side.
ain't
pick.
that-
Yeah,
It's a different culture.
Very
It
different.
also has to deal with the moral decay
Yeah.
of society.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of things, not just that,
yeah.
but everything. It's like it's no limits now. It's like whatever.
This is So people tell nowadays that they screenshot and
Folk keep receipts.
they
That's
keep
what they call it
receipts.
now. They call it receipts. Ain't that
Yeah,
crazy?
they keep receipts and they going because you know.
I can't.
Yeah, so I don't know about the whole entanglement thing as it relates to whether or
either,
not she
bro.
was cheating or not, because
I could care less, man. I'm gonna focus
because
mind
yeah.
their business.
can you
was ready to
have
say.
an open marriage? And is that cheating?
Well,
But it's their marriage, though. Is what I'm
It's
saying.
But,
That's
but
good.
still, but is it cheating?
Well, I mean, by the bylaws of American what we think, yes, it is. No matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
I mean, from that side. But if now, here's the crazy thing. That's now, Leroy, you got to help me psychologically with this. So, I can't say forget the Bible part of it, but if two people come together and then they make an agreement. You see where I'm trying to go with that? Like they agree.
You can't have no extra swings in no marriage, in no biblical marriage.
Not to be under covenant. You can't.
You can't under covenant.
No, if you heard what I said, I didn't want to remove Bible.
Oh, I got what you said.
But I tried to like have the conversation without having Bible.
Oh, I feel you.
You know what I mean? Like,
it is a narrative that we have to discuss in terms of marriages who are now. I know some folk who promote a phenomenal marriage, but behind the scenes they allow all types of illegal activity.
That's true.
And then we celebrate. Yeah, we celebrate what they post, not knowing the illegal things that they do while they are painting these pictures.
That's right.
And I think and to be honest, we be surprised what people are dealing with in order to stay together.
Jesus.
Calls are coming in. We're not talking about entanglement, guys.
No, we're not talking about entanglement.
That's not our topic. So that's what y'all calling in to talk about entangled.
We ain't talking about it. I ain't gonna lie. We just wanted to address what's popular right now because we're a talk show. So we kind of touch and move.
So people are upset with the church because the church or church people, believers are looking at Will and Jada from a Christian perspective. And they're judging them. What do y'all think about that? And people are saying, mind your business.
I'm with Brian. I need people. People go back to minding your business. Like that. I'm like, it's just too much, yo. Like, because what's going on in Clay House, my house, Brown, like that's their business. Yeah. So for us to be so entrenched.
And you know what's funny, Twan? We put illegal pressure on people who forgive and restore marriages. Now, why you go back? Why you still with them? Like it's almost like we applaud the breakup. And then we say we're sanctified.
They do.
Yeah. They applaud. I'm glad. I knew. You didn't know. You don't understand the covenant of love like that.
And if you ain't never been married, don't even address it.
Yeah, well, I don't believe people who ain't been married should have no opinion on it. Because everybody has went through some type of sacrifice in marriage.
Some that you know about,
some that you don't.
Yeah, I think every long-term marriage has something that they'll never tell people about.
Period.
You forgiving your spouse for things.
Period.
That if your friends knew, your family knew.
It should be that way, Clay.
It's supposed
I'm gonna keep it 100. It should be because there's some stuff she's supposed to take to the grave.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But now, society says speak your truth. Stuff like that,
dangerous place.
It's
that's a trick of the enemy. Right. Speak your truth. You want to know your business. Speak your truth.
Even that,
are the risks.
Even that. Or what's the other one? I promise you. Tell me, I'm not gonna be mad.
That's the way they get you.
Tell me, I promise.
You just tell me, baby. I'll hold this till the day I die. You a lied one.
My daddy told me before he died, you're gonna do something to try to mess up her day. She gonna do something to mess up your world.
Jesus.
And we can't take it.
Right.
Men cannot take it.
Can't take it.
No. And I'm 46 years old, so I don't want no smoke.
I don't either. I ain't gonna say it loud. My heart can't take it.
I'm sorry, Father. In the name of Jesus,
that it is impossible. That it is an impossibility for two people to only make love to each other for 30, 40, 50 years.
That's tough.
Then it's not love.
Ooh.
Go ahead, Bishop.
It's not love in its purest sense.
Yeah.
That it has to be agape. It has to be unconditional.
Yeah.
That means that we love each other. We are tied to each other. We're in covenant with one another.
Yeah.
So anything else is breaking the covenant.
Yeah.
And but it's displeasing to God.
Let me ask you this.
I'm not saying it can't happen.
But
I'm just simply saying it's not true, genuine love.
Because I don't even think having like when I was dating a girlfriend, all that foolishness. Right. I don't even think I know girlfriend stuff don't count. But we got to address that because some people are not married. So for the single
and some people will never get married,
and they won't. That's a fact. So
these millennial men are different.
Whole lot of y'all.
Back in our day, we would have never snitched.
No,
I'd have never told.
Back in our day,
nowhere in the world. I'd never be August Alsina.
I'd have never said that. What kind of man would tell them
like that? I want to keep smashing.
What kind of soft? What kind of soft cream puff?
You mess up my nutter butter.
Back in the day, we'd have been quiet with his.
What's the advantage?
Right.
Are you wanting to let somebody else know? Husband know?
Man, men don't tell.
I don't want him to know. He might have me a little movie, baby, or something.
Matter of fact, you ask me, I be like, I don't know who she is. Who?
Plus,
I don't even know what her name is.
We back in the day, if we gonna be real honest and raw, we would have just kept it as an option.
You better believe
never know
it. You want to mess that door up.
Oh, she might need to come back.
Yeah. That's a dummy. Like, why would you out yourself?
Can I just make a public
So what has happened in society that men just function differently? Go ahead, Brian.
Make a public announcement. No, I'm not making it. I just thought the Holy Ghost just dropped something in my spirit.
Okay.
I want y'all, just don't tell me. If you know anything that would possibly cause me to be suicidal, don't tell me.
That's a good point, though. Do you want to know?
Hey, listen.
I don't want to know.
I remember years ago.
Come here.
Brian said to me, he said, if you ever Now, Brian Tony wasn't even married then. They were just boyfriend and girlfriend. And he said, and it was such a powerful statement, and I think it helped somebody listening. Mm-hmm. He said, if you ever hear something about Tanya cheating on me or being with somebody, he said, just don't tell me.
Because?
I'm not going to leave her.
I'm not going to leave her.
And I want to hate her for the rest of her life.
And here's the B clause.
I said, good.
That's a powerful statement.
Yes, it is.
The B clause is, because the truth be told, after I go back, I don't need you talking about why I went back and telling everybody my
period.
All that.
That's why.
Because they call you dumb and call you stupid and why you
that.
go back. No, you got to keep the
love is a
yourself.
Powerful thing, man.
It's a very powerful thing.
I've never experienced
love conquers all.
I'm
That's
telling
why
you,
the Bible
man.
said it.
And you're gonna go through something. My mother used to tell me all the time, if you only knew the first part of my life with your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My father's name was Tony. I didn't even, my father had a whole nother alias out in the street.
You ever been called Mr. Tony?
Yeah, Mr. Tony. I like that. We used to go out here. Hey,
Leave
Tony. I like his name is Lester. Shut up, Brian.
I knew I shouldn't have
I
brought
remember
you.
that day we was at the surf shop.
Do you remember?
I remember.
All my friends remember all these.
Tony.
They say, hey, Tony.
Like
I said, his name is Lester.
Like Tony, who?
My mother prayed that Tony spirit off of that
Yes, she
Negro.
did.
He took that earring
she
out and
did.
took that Tony off that truck and gave his life to Christ.
Yo,
We'd have all been a
but have
Tony
we
at one
lost that
point.
value and forgiveness of our spouses? Is that why you think? Because marriages are falling apart all over the place.
That's true.
I think people are just not like you, it's impossible to be married and not be offensive. Like you will
It's not
offend.
celebrated anymore. That's the problem. This culture don't celebrate union. They don't celebrate happiness.
Yeah.
They celebrate the drama.
Yeah.
That's why social media is so popular, because people can be on social media and be who they want to be
and
not
like
who they really
Housewives
are.
of Atlanta.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Like it's phony. Like they rather had a fake than the real.
There's some
Yeah.
emotional content that many of us weren't taught to be husbands.
Talk about it.
And that's not unfair to our fathers, but it is the truth that many of us learned on the job what it means to be stable, provider, protector, emotional strength, so those things need to be discussed for the next generation.
Mm-hmm. And
for us. Like I think we need
forgiving your spouse is a part of being married to someone.
Absolutely. I think we need to have accountability between the
brothers.
brothers.
They gonna
do
do
something and say something
that you ain't
deeply
gonna
offensive,
like.
and you're not going to like it.
So what you give up on them? Like
Cannot-
nah.
like Roy said, that's not love.
No.
Agape love is unconditional. Like,
Can we
for
go
real.
into that for a second? Because I heard him say something that was I almost disagreed, but I wasn't sure. Because then he said something different. So when you first said, psychologically, Leroy is way more a thinker than I am. So he's saying that it's not love. That statement right there is powerful.
Yeah.
Because now you're actually telling somebody that they don't love. But what about the person who says, I can love two women at the same time?
Whew. It's cheating
Like,
and deal breaker.
I mean, there's people who really fell in love with two people. So how
important is
yourself.
cheating?
Okay,
Should cheating be the atom bomb of marriage?
No. I don't
So
think.
if somebody says, meaning
No.
I'm
It
saying,
hasn't been. It's been done for years.
yeah,
Depending on who you
but
cheat
now,
with.
but now,
That's true too. Depending on who
you
you're with.
depending on who you
very
cheat
It can't
on.
be a
Very
homegirl.
true.
I think it's
Very
every
true.
My
isolated
sister
incident.
can't be that.
Yeah.
It's an isolated incident. It's different for everybody, and it's where you are in your marriage.
You can't smash the homie though.
So cheating shouldn't be the atom bomb for marriage.
No, yo. I don't think
I
it's
don't
no
think
atom
it should
bomb
be,
unless.
But it may be the limit for
We're
somebody
not talking
else.
about boyfriend and girlfriend.
We're talking about
Exactly.
marriage, a long
I
time
think there
covenant.
is something that some marriages can't
Come on,
recover
Bishop.
from.
Yep. And
think-
and to assume or to put that kind of pressure on someone, that in order for us to be together, you have to be perfect.
And there ain't no perfect person.
There's no
And I know
perfect
I got a
person.
lot of crap and foolishness with me. So ain't no way in the world, if you deal with me, I better be able to take one little slice of nut of butter. Like,
But I tell you one thing.
I better be able to deal
One
with
thing
one
about a
little
man,
slice.
a man can forgive his wife for messing up. As long as folks don't find out.
Maybe you have a million sleepless nights.
I don't need.
Right.
I don't need to know, baby.
That's
I don't
why
need-
I said
I don't need my friends to know.
Don't tell me. If you out at Boaz
Why you gotta tell me?
and you see,
Get off
and
my
you see
street,
somebody
world,
with
and
some
do that.
wings,
on
Get
a
off
wet
my
Wednesday.
street.
all I want you to do is say, look,
On wet Wednesday.
and even and I don't want to be transparent, so that's enough for me. See, that's
No,
why
I
people
said-
can't handle me because I'm too
would just
transparent.
I'm gonna say it for him because he ain't. I'm gonna say it
Brian
for him.
would
That's
be
right.
folded up.
If you see my wife current on at Motel 6,
I'm mind
don't
my
you-
business.
Don't you dare call. Don't text. Don't take no picture. Don't send me nothing.
Well,
baby.
see, you gotta
don't
ask if who see her. See, if Clay see her, if Leroy see her, different. But if I see her, I'm not saying nothing because Sherry don't like me.
so that's not true. He's so stupid, yo. He's so stupid.
No, we cool, but I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yo,
not the top guy on the friends list.
She
But
just
we
gets so
cool.
mad with Brian.
You the
But
top
she
five.
She said he's so talented. He should get up on the nerd on the posts he put up.
Yeah, like Sherry is like she go hard on me. So if I see see it, Sharon, I'm going right into prayer mode. Father, in the name of Jesus. Blind these eyes now, Lord.
I would say, I didn't see Maxine at Greek Village. I didn't see it.
Listen. I hope she got me a sub or something. I tell all the time, we got 27 years. I
guess you guys can feel the room has kind of shifted, and the doctor is in here, and I feel the spirit of diplomacy coming on me. So I felt in his heart he wanted to say, "All right, now y'all ain't bring me down in this jungle to talk no foolishness. We come to talk a profound, prolific
guest today.
So I feel myself coming in. So if those of you who know me to be unfiltered today, you will see another side of me because this is my mentor.
Why don't you introduce him?
This man of God I met several years ago when I was working for Baltimore Emerge. And I was working at the day program, and I had an infatuation for a conversation he had with me in the hallway. A 30-minute conversation caused my entire life to change, and I fell in love with the guy. I never met a man that was so he was so intellectual until I became immediately intimidated. I almost muted myself. A 30-minute conversation about life. We wasn't talking about church.
More often.
Yeah, he did. You need him too, and so
he's a prolific voice.
And he'll tell you from that day I had this place where I put him, and he's never been arrogant. He's never been inconsistent. Every area of my life, in ministry and success, he's called me, he's complimented me, he's pushed me, and he's challenged me. One of the most painful times in my life preaching was I preached for his church because when you preach for certain people, you don't have that anxiety.
Right.
But when you preach for people who know the word and know how to divide it, you have a different type of approach, and that's what I had. And he is Bishop Doctor. I'm not no honorary doctor.
Don't say his name yet. I want to say his name.
Say his name. Okay.
Here's my story for him. I was a little boy with a jerry curl, baby.
You did have a jerry curl.
I had a high top fade with a part going to the back, my Duke kit, and I looked up and seen him in that church. And I said, "How does a guy put on all that jewelry and wonderful wide leg jeans and wonderful glasses and back in the day?"
Well, he from Bethel. Bethel comes from a lot of men that wear a lot of necklaces
and mink coats.
You watch it now. You leave my church. When I grew up in
that's a part of the protocol of Bethel. You got to wear more than one chain.
Yeah, that's true though.
And you Uncle Eddie open on your chest.
That nigga carried the Morgan like Liberace.
Uncle Eddie, baby, ain't nothing like the Bishop.
Hey, Bishop Morgan like Liberace sometimes preaching,
killing them.
Did you see his prayer the other night? He had like 18 bracelets on.
Killing them.
Father, we bless you, man. Take one of them bracelets off, nigga.
Got a nugget bracelet on. I said, go ahead, Bishop. But right now, we want to introduce. It's history in the making. Yeah. It's Monday Night Raw, our first show. We had to have our big brother with us because he's going to take us to an intellectual place.
Yeah.
I need everybody from TT&T family to welcome the doctor, Kevin Daniel.
Oh, for real,
I need some hearts and some likes.
Wait a minute, what you say?
He didn't get his doctorate degree off no internet. I was with him while he was writing his dissertation. He shared with me his points. His dissertation was so phenomenal. I said, if you don't get this, but they don't,
this is not a D-min, it's not a DTH, it's not a STD. He
cross-pollinates in every denomination.
It's a real one.
Yo, let me tell you when I knew Kevin Daniels was real, and you go ahead and take the show.
Okay, go ahead.
When I knew Dr. Daniels was real, when he started doing lectures for Bishop Ralph Dennis, I said, uh-oh.
Oh, you real.
When you start doing stuff for Bishop Dennis, you're the man.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing to preach for Brian Martin.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to preach for Bishop Dennis.
You're a creative
I said, you're a transitional thinker.
Yeah.
Let's go, Clay.
Talking about metaphysical
And he still shouts. yo.
He really?
He didn't never stop shouting when he got
shout, Bishop?
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
He's going to shout now.
Clay Burston.
All right.
Let's go.
So tonight we're going to talk about a few things. But the overarching theme is why I left the church. The Gallup poll said in 1937 through 76, 70% of adults in America belong to a church. 70%. Then it dropped in 776, I'm sorry, 8 to 68%. Now it's down to 40.
Wow. 40 from 70?
Yeah, from 70%. In 2000, it dropped. I'm sorry, 18, it dropped to 50%.
Okay, 50. So we're
of
20%
adults.
off. Okay.
No longer. And so now,
Wow.
in the same time frame, agnostics were at 7%. I'm sorry, 9%. Now they're 18%. So they doubled.
It's an increase. Right.
It's an increase. They doubled. people who believe in a higher power but don't believe in church. For those who know what an agnostic is. So they believe in God but don't believe in organized religion. That doubled in the same time frame. So we want to talk about church hurt. Is church hurt a real thing? Whether or not the church has earned some of its criticism that you see online, you hear on podcasts like these. So we're going to start with the first question for everyone, including Bishop. Can black liberation and religion coexist? A heavy theme in the Black Lives Matter movement is that church has harmed the black community more than it's helped. It's made us passive. It's made us weak. And they often reference Dylan Roof when he killed the 9 people who were in Bible study. Yep. And then they forgave him, and we tried to move forward. Right. Has church helped the black community, or has it hindered it?
Dr. Kevin Daniels, everybody.
No, well, I mean, again.
Turn his mic up. Bismarck. Yeah, let's make sure he can.
but when you start understanding really the black liberation movement, and really Black Lives Matter, which is a offset of the black liberation movement. Of course, the black church did start the black liberation movement, especially when it comes down to black power. It was the black church that did that in 1966. Yes, sir. When you start talking about the National Committee for the Negro of Churchmen. That was 51 black pastors that started Black Power movement. Okay. So when you start talking about, and of course you have every generation that's going to, every trend line that you've seen all the way back in the 1500s, all the way back down in the 15th century in Europe. You have always seen a movement towards and away from the church, and it is always based upon the incoming culture that's coming in. Normally, the incoming culture will pull the other cultures towards its agenda. And so the millennial agenda, it's pulled us towards technology. It has pulled us toward tennis shoes, dressing down, all of that. And we've been talking about millennials now for the last 10 years. My great fear is that we're going to continue to keep talking about the millennials and forget the centennials. And those are the ones that's causing most of the challenges in the culture right now. But again, when you talk about can it coexist, it has already coexisted together. But at this particular time in history, of course, we're looking at, I think that there has been a drift in the black church, particularly from the 1970s was strong, but then you start getting into 1980s, 1990s as it relates to liberation. Liberation deals with, of course, 4 things. It deals with procedural justice, due process, distributive justice. Due process says, listen, I need to make sure that I get my process, but also you're talking about restorative justice, you're talking about retributive justice, correct this. And all of the Black Lives Matter, they're looking for the church to come back to the forefront so that we could get some things not only corrected. Distributive justice, it looks like give me my fair share. That's black liberation. That is about the liberation of people, not only from external things, but also internal. And I'm excited, actually, about this moment. I get a chance to teach at Morgan. I get a chance to teach, and for the last 17 years that I've been releasing social workers in the community as far as community and organizing and clinical, all of that. Most of them have come to me. I wrote a whole curriculum for spirituality, science, community, clinical work, but most of them have come back. Most of them, every last one of them for the last 10 years have come in and said, I don't want religion, I want spirituality.
Deal with that.
But some will
99.9%. And you're talking about not just millennials, you're talking about no matter whether we have Gen X's, whether we have baby boomers, most of them walk in and said somewhere along the line, along this question, I have been hurt by church. And we might as well be honest about
we're going
that.
to tonight.
Because
Monday
people
Night Raw.
do come in and say, I have been hurt by church. What can you do? How can you do to help me? So a part of my process has been, and here's some of the things that they say. Even at this point, there's about 1 billion atheists and agnostics in the country, around the world. So again, about 2.8 billion Christians in the world at this particular time. 1.8, I think about 1.8 Muslims around that. So what we're looking at is 2.8 billion Christians in the world, but 4.9 people that don't even want to be a part of the religious perspective.
So how do you explain that to these students that are coming to you? How do you, as a pastor?
Yeah.
How do you handle?
Well, see, I don't tell them I'm a pastor.
So they come in.
Wow, look at that.
Well, the only reason that I don't. Is because they want favors. You know, they think that.
Right. You man of God.
You lay hands on me. So what some of them were doing would come to my church on Sundays and then think that that's going to equate to a good grade.
Plus.
I'd have probably tried that.
I'd have been shouting turn on the front.
But Bishop, some would argue that because of the culture that church presents, the culture of hope, that hope has deterred black people from excelling in life. It has caused black people to settle, to say, well, I don't have to go after these things because my reward is in heaven. So has that culture hindered black progression? So once again, has the church helped the black community, or has it offended or caused us to be stagnant?
Well, I think it's done both. I mean, you know, but that's not a new trend. That's been going on in history. Right. The church has always had to reform and find itself again. And I think we're at another reformation point because that's what happened in the Renaissance, the Enlightenment. It moved towards the age of reason, and all of that happened ultimately because the church had a problem. Because that's when the Great Schism took place. We have a major divide in church right now. All of that will continue. Then they had the plague of what they called the Black Death during that particular time, and that's how we got. So every culture, every era will produce this stagnant moment. Right. What we do with this is going to determine, but most of my young people, some of them older than me, but most of my young people will always tell me three things that's bothering them that the church don't do well. And that's why they go towards spirituality. And what they're doing now is doing a whole lot of synthesis. They're going into syncretism. They're pulling pieces from everywhere. They're doing everything. Right. But again, I think the big issue at this point is that they want three things, and the church ain't doing it well. And that is what we call the existential crisis. First of all, we're not helping them with their identity.
That's the biggest to me.
People walk in and they want to know. When I walk in the door, and that's really what we do as far as discipleship. To what extent do we spend time helping people to reconstruct themselves? The identity they always have. What am I supposed? Who am I? That's the issue that I have in class. The moment I start talking about these are the elements of helping you with your identity, most of the time I got them. The class don't even want to move from there, especially with spirituality, religion. But then number two, they always want to ask me about, help me, what am I supposed to do?
Purpose.
Meaning and purpose. It's always the same. The moment I get on issues of, okay, here's what you're supposed to do. Let's talk about some elements of what you're supposed to do. And it's always number three, destiny. Do I have a future? How to help me cement my future. They say, and those are the three things. Those are the three things that pop up.
Is my future?
That is right.
I like it.
If the church, that is because what that does is that don't have anything to do with programs. But by the way, let me be real clear. One of my mentors, Andrew Newberg, says you still need the religious ritual. Because
like Brian Martin to me.
That's right. It brings discipline. So those things are necessary. And I think we get it mixed up with the tenets of what religion is, as opposed to the relationship where the mandate is for that discipline.
That is it. They always tell me, again, I think if we
he just wanted.
He wanted to do his
know he's smart too.
He's the smartest of all of us. We're more than I got a degree too. My name is Leroy Todd, and I'm from Hampton University.
Hey, Dr. Dan, Leroy, like, you ain't gonna come in here and take my thunder. Put your nipples away, Leroy.
I ain't got no PhD though.
Put your nipples away, Leroy.
I'm working on it. I got no PhD.
No, that was good. That was good.
No, we just so funny, man.
I think if we can reform with those three elements, helping people reconstruct themselves.
Yeah. You know, you said something to me a couple of months ago, and the only reason why I went out to do the march in the community is because you said I needed to be a part of this.
Yeah.
What is your perspective and or your suggestion to us as pastors now? All of us as pastors, we have some type of access and accountability to the community. What are you telling us to do now, and also what are you telling us to get rid of?
Yeah, you know, for me, you know, I think that just based upon just some of the different people that I'm talking with, even in class, I don't think that if you find your lane, I still don't think everybody is civically oriented, and why are we pushing everybody outside?
That's good.
Thank you.
Because you're going to mess up.
If
some people go outside,
That's right.
they will do what they've done inside.
You'll do more damage.
Big bro, that's what I said a couple weeks ago on this panel. I said I had a problem with those guys who went out into the street with those collars and them black suits on because the streets didn't want it. That's my interpretation of Bishop Kevin Daniels.
They didn't want a platform service.
We talk about when some of us are not graced. We're not graced to be on the front line of it. We can be graced to be behind the scenes.
Yes, but know your grace.
You got to know your grace. And that was my intimidation when I went out there, because you had the Muslim brothers out there, Christian brothers. It was everybody. And I was like, they were just walking up in the circles of people, like handing them resources. And I said, I stand on the corner. Like, I'm not just walking up. Yeah, because I just, you know what I mean? I did like what Bishop Kevin Robinson did when we bowed down in Monroe and North Avenue. When we was all praying. Went on the rides. Bishop Kevin Robinson said, that ain't what the Lord called me to be. I'm going back in the car.
You got in this car. We don't hope.
No, your grace. Kevin Robinson went back to his living room.
I saw that tear gas.
I pulled up and saw Kevin. I said, "It's over."
He said, no. It ain't never start for me, baby.
And what we're doing now is we're trying to create a situation, and it's unfair. It's even unfair for the Black liberation movement to do that, because I think first of all, you know, even with Black Lives Matter, as much as I love the young people and all of that, they know I'm out there with them because that's really where my passion is. It's more civic than anything. However, what you don't do, and I challenge all of them, even in school, when they get to going at Morgan, I challenge all of them. I said, well, first of all, what you don't do, because you don't really understand long-term liberation. Because if you understood long-term liberation, you would also understand that you need your deep pocket organization. Absolutely. Because when you start dealing with public policy, you're going to need some people that when you get tired after the emotionality wears off, you're going to need some people with some pockets that's going to be able to pour into you, like the Urban League, the NAACP. Don't get rid of all of them just yet, because it takes about 3 generations to clean up some of the stuff that what's been going on at this particular time. So I think stay in your lane. I think people need to stay in their lane. Good. But I think our issue is not just civic. Our issue is how we build coalition. We don't know how to come together.
Right.
How in the world could you have a city 65% black? We've got to be insane. Not just one of us, not just a mayor. We've got to be insane for what we're allowing to go on in Baltimore City. And that ain't just one person's fault. That's all of our fault. I'll even put myself in there. What is the issue that we can't come together and even understand what coalition building is all about? Wow. In other words, we just have 3 things we agree on. The other 7 we don't agree, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm going to join you in this to get this done. And the first thing is public safety and how we clean these streets up together. So I'm not mad with people that don't come out.
Right.
But I am upset when we don't build a coalition, because we should be able to send them to you.
I like that. Right.
There ought to be great partnerships that we should have. That shouldn't be so hesitant and reluctant.
That is right.
stop being a competition.
That's
the problem in the church anyway. Everybody's competing or comparing.
Yeah.
And now we're all dropped. We've all been dismantled. And I think that this has been again, I want to be sensitive to people that we've lost, to people that have gotten COVID, but I still think the overarching theme is the fact that God is shaking everything.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to decide, and all of us at the same level at this point, we're going to have to decide what we're going to be.
Yeah.
By the time this is over.
Many people associate church with white supremacy. So,
and they have a right to.
They say that Christianity is a white man's religion.
Western.
Right. And it's a white man's religion, and because I can't be a part of that because it was used as a tool to control slaves, and it's not our true religion. So a lot of people are saying that they're trying to find God outside of church.
Don't do it. Go. We go here.
We go. They're trying to find God outside of church. So, God is not in the church, so I'm looking other places to find God.
We have friends who have disconnected from church and created social entities that they are and they're doing very well.
Yeah.
And they have come from years of church, but they're saying that God is not in that anymore. Right. And that's why I struggle with.
Brian know, and he probably know more so than Clay, and then Leroy know. I had a season where I didn't want nothing to do with the church.
Oh yeah,
really?
Oh yeah, I was clear, and I'm a church boy.
Okay,
grandmother, grandfather, uncle, aunts, y'all know, they all around me on both sides. It was a season where I didn't want to I didn't want to go in a church, and it wasn't so much I wasn't mad at God. I was mad at the representation of God.
Okay.
I was tired of seeing what I saw, and the world would look at it and then think all of us was that.
Got you.
They would say, "Yo, I can't come to your church because of this." So the perception to the world to me was, we would be out in the streets sometime, we start talking church. Oh, y'all talking that church stuff. I ain't coming to y'all church. There's too many gay people there. There's too many. Man, I don't want to see them guys. So we would get this constantly. So us being church boys, we were immune to a lot of it anyway because we're church boys. So half the stuff we don't care about. But to the world, they care how God is presented to them. They more technical about how God is presented than we are sometimes because we're so immune to the emotion or the show of church.
Yeah,
the show, the dancing and all the stuff that we grew up on. To them, they don't want the show.
Yeah,
they just want God purified.
Yeah,
I think it's inevitable that all of us are going to have a fall, but not a fall away.
Yeah,
and that's my argument. I just don't understand how persons who know the reality of God can now have a debate if God is actual.
That's crazy.
But that's the end time theme too of apostasy, and a reason that apostasy because there's so much going on. But I even argue with people that say, well, I don't come to church because you got these folk, you got that particular group, you got gay people, you got this going on in church. Right. Well, and I say to them, but why did Jesus pick the ultimate time in Greece? During the Grecian period and the Roman period to introduce his ministry where there was the highest level of homosexuality, there was the highest level of he picked that moment to come in and to converge and to bring his ministry and then say it was good news. He picked the time of language, transportation, all of that was consistent, but he waited until the people got their worst and showed up. So again, ultimately, this still refers back to your call and how serious you take that call, and no matter who you have to do, even if you got a whole church full of gay folk, then minister to them. Regardless of what that is, minister to them. It's going to be the test to you to decide how much news is good for them.
So, brothers, is church hurt a real thing? Is it
no?
Real?
Yes.
You say it's not?
Yes.
Church hurt real.
Yes, it
people
is.
are saying I got hurt in church, so I don't go to church anymore because I was hurt by church.
I want to just say this as a precursor. I understand the concept of church hurt, but it is the only place that gets that label. If I went to the mall, I went to Towson the other day, and they were really rude to me in Louis Vuitton, and I wanted to spend some money.
Right.
I didn't call it Louis Vuitton hurt because I'm going to go back. I didn't call it Towson hurt. Yeah. I think
the manager on that particular person.
I think we still believe that people are not human. And I think we put too much confidence in flesh. And now we come to church and we assume these people who gather on a Sunday morning have the power to be like Christ, and they don't.
But here is the argument, though, Brian. We presented a perfected church to the world.
We did, and that's the fault.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
So that's why my argument is, y'all, because that's me. We gave them the look of the pastor's clean. The pastor doesn't cheat. The pastor does not have kids outside of wedlock. The pastor is the greatest guy in the world. Then when they found out the indiscretions, it was, whoa, wait a minute. Y'all presented to us that we should come to you to get better. And now y'all are just as bad as we are. So that's the mix up in conversation, because the world is saying we should have allowed them. That's why I'm so transparent with the world. We should have allowed them to see who we really are from day one. So if they wanted it, they would have got God and not us.
Yeah, and it should be the place where the most hurt shows up. Because it is the place where, of course, people need the most help. Because how in the world, W.E.B. Du Bois talked about double consciousness. I mean, we got all of these things going on, being black, and navigating racism, white supremacy, but then we come in the church and you tell us be something new. Ooh, that's a whole lot to unpack to people that already has cumulative and historical trauma already just by being black, not by just being a Christian. So again, I just think we do need to understand what trauma-informed churches look like.
It's just not church
Brian,
hurt, it's people hurt.
Okay, say, Brian, I'm at to retract or recant what I was talking.
People hurt.
Because the church, first of all, the church can't hurt you.
The church can't hurt you.
We're talking about the church.
Right.
It's the people in the church who hurt you.
That's good. I like that.
But there could be
I like that. I like that.
It's not the church.
There are some things systemically that we can blame on the church. Like how women have been treated historically.
Oh,
not
absolutely.
now.
No, you're absolutely.
But there was a period
Patriarchal.
when women were treated badly.
Especially in the traditional church.
Yeah, so I think
where
that
they can't talk and all that
and all that
foolishness.
kind of where the church at large
Baptists,
put things,
had all of the
all
different churches,
they put things in place
Pentecostal,
to suppress women and maybe gay people, where the church mobilized to say that y'all couldn't get married.
Yeah.
So there are small pockets, I think, where that's church. I don't think two people arguing in the parking lot is church hurt.
Right.
Right. I don't think church hurt it should be sort of systemic, I believe. So I don't think that what we are talking about as relates to people not getting along with each other, in my opinion, I don't think that's church hurt. I think church hurt is.
I think we
systemic.
shout over a lot of fickle things. People not speaking. People don't like us. People lying, and then we say that's church hurt. And many times,
and it's not church hurt. I don't believe
it was our involvement in messy situations that could have been in church or at Melba's.
That's very true.
It could have been at any entity.
Why they call Euphoria hurt?
Yeah. Why they call Euphoria hurt? Why they call Select hurt? And guess what? Those other entities where we get hurt at, we still go.
Yeah.
But then we get to label the church as, well, I got hurt at church, I'm not going back to church. I think it's unfair, and it's a bad brand. Now, watch this. Dr. Daniels told me this in 2000, Bishop Mose died 2010, so this is like 2006. I preached for St. Martin's. Daniels told me in the office, Brian Martin, you will go far if you stop bleeding over situations you should have had a conversation about.
Mm-hmm. I said that.
That's what you said to me. In your office on the little platform with the old school TV.
I feel good about it.
The old school TV was sitting there.
I didn't say, wait a minute. I didn't have myself on
I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good about it at the time, but it gave me a wonderful offering, and it just changed the dynamic of the conversation.
Then you went to Louis Vuitton.
But what he said was, I think we at church, we got to go back to having conversations and not deliverance services. I think that if I do something...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Did Brian Martin just say no deliverance service?
No deliverance service.
We just got a word from God.
Let me tell you something. What could be remedied if we go to each other and really talk it out versus shouting it out?
Yeah. And that's why I like this platform. And I told you that. I told everybody I like this platform because you get a chance. And just being around students and just hearing every day, every week, what they're navigating. I think that this is critical, just conversations. Yeah. But you said something about the black liberation and what African American. Well, let me just say this. First of all, even when I talk to students that are from LGBTQ and they go after me about that, and I say to them, let's still look at this. Let's look at the statistics. Okay. All of the other different religions, whether some Islam. And I know that there's some changes going, whether it's some Orthodox Judaism, none of them will have you in their spaces. And as a matter of fact, you won't even go to them. Yeah. But you come to us, the group that still, when you look at statistically, the group that still receives you most, and you say, and you pitch this loud protest against the church when
most
you can. You better not even talk
to
them.
They won't let you in.
They won't let you in the door.
Women, you better go in one door, and the men better go in the other.
And even though I know that there's some variations, so nobody get mad at me. There's some variations that people that are more accepting. But again, don't kill the hospital.
Jesus,
that can heal you.
That can heal you.
That has healed you.
And has
healed and has done much for you. My issue is the blanket accusation. That when somebody becomes hurt at a particular church, if you will, then all of a sudden every church, or you hear the word church, now becomes an accusation that all of y'all are like that.
Well, even like stories about. I'm sorry, brother.
Like when a pastor or a preacher commits a particular incident, then all preachers like
thousands
that.
That have not committed offenses.
No, we're not like that.
But
people say your church ain't doing nothing. I don't know what my church is doing.
And you know, exactly. We make so many blanket statements. I usually ask people, "What research have you done? Who else have you talked to other than 5 friends?" Yeah. Because then that's what we call an educated guess. That's conductive logic.
But
that's not deductive logic.
Talk, Bishop.
So what is it again? It's conductive
logic.
Not deductive.
I didn't want to say that.
So I'm going to say it next week when I preach revival.
I'm going to use it down my glasses.
It's not conductive logic.
We all going to
when I put a bow on that, Reverend.
I like that.
But can I go again?
Of course, Bishop.
That's why I said say it again.
When they say they have a right to say Western Church is this way, you know, whether it's a white man's religion. I historically I get it, but what are you going to do with the original Ethiopians and the Coptic Church in the first century that Christianity went to first? What are you going to do with the museums in Cairo where all of the paintings depict Jesus in an African setting? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with all of that if you hand this back over? I do think Christianity is an evolvement from African indigenous thought, but always remember African indigenous thought was mythology as well. So again, it was the way that you can't find Osiris nowhere. Neither can you find any of those deities that were present at this particular time. But then there is in Christianity, in AD, you do find somebody named Jesus that was on the earth.
Yes. Monica Williams says you cannot say that it isn't real, meaning church hurt, I'm assuming, because people identify their pain with church, and that may not be your experience.
So that's why we clarify what we said.
She's totally right.
I agree.
We're not in disagreement.
We're not in disagreement. We're just saying each his own.
We're saying isolated that though.
I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
My grandmother, Antoine's grandmother, I come from traditional apostolic preaching, where we were called what they assumed we to be out in the open. Made me repent in front of people while we gave a pass to people who were older and or had the privileges of pedigree. I could have called that church hurt. I didn't call that church hurt. I called that ignorance.
I called it an awakening.
I just thought my grandmother, Pastor Margaret Holly, who was anointed and is resting with Jesus, was ignorant in her pastorate. She was ignorant in her pastorate because that was not
you gonna disagree with us?
Not appropriate.
I'm going with Brian. I just said something a minute ago. I called it my awakening because I started being able to add up what was real. Because what you presented to me was a facade. What was real was the deacon was sleeping with the choir member.
Period.
And she did have a child named Junior Deacon.
My grandfather told me he was an adamant supporter of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was documented to have had several affairs and even some outside children. My grandfather told me when he came to Zion Baptist, we wasn't trying to see the man's proclivity. We was trying to hear his passion. And that generation of pastors, you know, I come from when in the Baptist church, they would give the pastor a drink at the cookout. Hey, get a beer, get a reverend a beer. Now, if you thought your pastor drunk a beer now, they would have great occasion with. I'm just giving you the narratives that we have to defend. For me, it's not church hurt. It's
Monica Williams, I need you to y'all tiptoeing around the topic. You know we go hard here. We don't tiptoe around nothing. I need you to write what you're saying. Why? What are we tiptoeing around?
And Vernon Delano Shelton says pastors experience church hurt as also. I reap what I've sown. I didn't call it church hurt.
That's good.
I got what I gave my former pastor. And in order for me to understand the lesson, God had to give it back to me. I didn't call it church hurt.
But you know, clinically, I deal with people where I give them permission to say it hurt. And people do have a right to say, I was hurt there, because they do come into, when they come into a clinical setting, they will say, listen, I was hurt there. My issue is to go back in there and to see if I can reconstruct them, and understand that was a moment. Why has that carried on for the last 10 years? And it has shaped all of your relationships. That one occurrence never leaves us, and it stays with us, and you got to go dig that out of them in order for them to be able to
work. Real quick,
Doctor,
I got a question for so psychologically, Leroy, you can help me with this too, because I like to analytically think about stuff and really go deep into it. I cannot tell a person that they cannot call the church hurt. How they identified is how they experienced it. So we got to be careful when we're telling people what they can't label it. Because when they were in that moment, that's what they felt from that particular individual or that particular group of people.
I just want them to say that baby father hurt you.
Well, her baby father did.
You got baby father hurt. I want you to start saying all of the hurt you have, not just church.
They're strapped up.
And you know what? You're absolutely
naming the
right.
place where you hurt, saying that entity hurt you is illogical, right?
That's what I'm asking.
Meaning to say, I got punched in the face in Walmart parking lot. It's not Walmart hurt. It's just something happened.
But that's where
in
it
that
happened.
location.
So the trauma.
You can't even sue Walmart for that.
But you know what? I usually have to go back because we, as African Americans in America, we carry a cumulative trauma. So some of the stuff ain't just come from church. It accumulated from other stuff, and that just happened to be the very thing that tipped you over to the other end and say, you know what? I thought I could come here and I could be helped. I wasn't helped at home. I wasn't helped at the job. I'm not helped in the street. All of that. My father let me down. And when I got here, so what I got to do is help them fizzle through all of that to say, was it really that?
Yeah. So I'm asking, so if I sit in your office, like, because I went to a therapist. I don't know if any of y'all have had. I had to have one. Yeah. Because there were moments
we all do. Because
I just felt like I'm tired of you putting oil over top of my stop laying hands on me for a minute and talk to me about what I'm going through.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Like, I was honest because I'm, like I said, I'm a church boy, but I just felt like at some point I needed to have somebody who was knew that psychologically, who studied it, who has a degree in it, to help me walk through what I'm thinking. Because a lot of times church can't help me in that. So I'm asking you, like if I was a client coming to you and the person says, like you just said, clinically, I come into your office and I say, I just got punched in the face at Walmart. Yeah. So the guy at Walmart, I hate Walmart. Yeah. How do you help me depack that?
Well, that is the presenting problem. But what I'll do is acknowledge that this happened, this hurt you, but then I want to go backwards. I want to go backwards to make sure that, especially when they're presenting a problem, because you got to be coming in more than just one incident. That somebody, you could come in and somebody say, well, I got hit and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm mad for the rest of my life, but you hadn't experienced the rest of your life. So let's go. What we do is an assessment. Let's go back and find out. Tell me a little bit about you. Again, because you went into Walmart, again, what happened? What did the guy do? Yeah. That we just really kind of unpack, peel away the layers. Because we got a lot of stuff.
A lot of layers.
Has the culture just shifted so much? Let's just put it on the table. Yeah. Has the culture shifted so much?
Here you go with the culture. Y'all know he don't like the culture.
Because
I don't like this new culture.
I don't.
It's a culture shock.
Yeah.
It is.
Has it changed so much where people are looking for a reason to disconnect?
Yeah.
So anything that happens.
I like that.
If the bathroom, just whatever happens, I'm leaving church because church, it represents discipline, accountability, things that people are not really, associated with right now. And are people avoiding church because because the church holds a standard?
That's a book. You should write that on Disconnected.
He can't read.
He really not that good.
Nobody gonna tell you that.
I don't know how he worked when he worked. I don't know how he worked when he worked.
Yeah. So what do you guys think?
But I do feel like people, because of where they are, and sometimes people just they're exhausted. Yeah. I told somebody the other day, I'm exhausted. Yeah. When you navigate pastoring, you navigate just being a good son, you navigate just being a good brother. Yeah. We have multiple roles, just trying to be a good community leader, a professor, and then you got to do all of those kind of things, and just try to be a good person in general. Right. And then you look at all of the external things that's happening to us, whether it's social unrest, all of those kind of economic, the wealth gap, all of those things just kind of, if you don't have a worldview and a focus, you're going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, and that's why what I do try to put together for people even in class is a worldview. One of my students who graduated, phenomenal young man, graduated, master's degree, went to, next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he threw himself off of the roof.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez.
He could not put together a worldview for himself.
I have an issue with the broad idea of church is bad all of a sudden. Where church is a bad place, there's no love there, God is not there, and all the pastors are all horrible. And I believe the silent majority go to church, have a great experience. They never deal with any of this stuff. They're sleeping with each other, and I mean generations of people go to church and have never experienced half the stuff that some people experience. And I believe that because they're silent, they're not saying anything, but the ones you hear are people who have an issue with church. So do you believe that the silent majority should start speaking up more?
I think a lot of people are emotionally crippled.
That's
and
good.
They don't
That's
really
good.
know how to process what happens, not just from an emotional perspective, but from a spiritual perspective.
That's good.
Because it's tied into your emotions when you're involved with a relationship with God.
Yeah.
That has to become more important than your emotions that you share with other people around you, because that's where the hurt comes from.
Yeah.
We're hurt emotionally.
Jeez.
God doesn't hurt us.
Yeah,
Talk, Bishop. Talk. Yeah.
God doesn't hurt us. He heals us.
But then you know what?
And I just wish people would be more vocal
Brian.
about what church did for them as they would about what church did to them.
That's real.
Yeah.
Good.
Wow.
And that's clinical. That's that's the clinical work.
Absolutely.
That's the clinical. And you make them unpack all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make them unpack all that. You make them identify all those good moments. The same thing even with a marriage. It's almost like you say, okay, I know this happened and that's wrong.
Yeah.
Talk about your marriage. When was the best day y'all felt with each other?
Yeah.
What do you like about him? What did you like about him in the past?
Yeah.
Because again, if you got 5 children now, something you like 5
Something,
days,
yeah,
or 5 nights.
at least
so
20 minutes.
Peanut butter mixed with the jelly at one point.
Right.
So you just get them to unpack all of that.
Monica, I'm not disagreeing with what your perspective is. I'm just giving you mine. I'm not. I don't have the bottom line on it. Right. I'm saying how I filter it, how I perceived it. I just did not. I don't subscribe to church hurt. I've done a lot of things in church. I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. Yeah. I've experienced a lot. But I still absolutely love it.
But here's a good point that Bishop Tim Tillman just said. Basically, in a summarization, he's saying that in the church, the problem is we give selective passes.
Period. Pedigree.
When you're the son of
the bishop.
What's up, Tim?
When you're the son of the bishop and the apostle, you get overlooked. I've seen that happen many a day in my generation. I've seen pastors' sons do the same thing I did, and they get a pat on the back. But me, because I wasn't connected to a great voice, didn't. And that's the truth.
And in church, if you're talented,
we do.
If you're the praise and worship leader, and we need you, you can get away with more than the guy who just sitting in the pew.
Church, you need to call in 1-855-493-6499. You ain't got to talk me to death on no Facebook Live.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend so I can barbecue.
We go at it. We got Dr. Kevin Daniels in. If you just tuned in, we are Thugs, Thinkers, and Theologians.
I will tell you one thing. Shouting ain't helping.
Dr. Kevin Daniels is
here. You
here.
need some therapy. You need to sit down and talk to people and filter out why you are the way you are. And coming to deliverance lines, we feel good for that moment, but we go back into the situation.
But this is therapy. This is therapy.
This is therapy. I think they think it's
now tell us what
formal and informal therapy.
You told us something at Boaz when you set us down a couple weeks ago, and we were just talking, and you were very transparent about the fact that you said you enjoyed the show because it gave the world another look at us church guys, church. Yeah. Explain kind of what you were saying.
Well, I mean, again, I think when you can, who talks about this? What other pastors talk about these issues and are this clear about the issue, but then transparent about it?
Talking to Mike,
transparent, translucent, all of those kind of things, all at the same time. We should have had this years ago. Pastors don't even have a moment where we could just sit. Some people do. Right. But again, I just think that at this point, because of what people want, people are craving moments like this where you can just talk and be very honest, be very clear, and just say to them what you disagree with. I don't feel like I don't feel like church is the place. Yeah. I just think we have taken a beating, and most pastors, sometimes you just sit down and say, we're taking a major beating. And people have no idea nobody asks us sometimes what we do. Yeah. Sometimes people don't even care.
No, they don't.
Yeah. But they will. It's a culture of users too, because they will use you.
Okay, we have a caller. It's called Asking for a Friend. You are live with Thugs, Thinkers, Theologians. Are you there, caller?
John?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you have the floor.
Hey, I'm calling from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I have a question for y'all brothers. Why do ministers, pastors sacrifice ministry when I heard y'all talking about when you have a gay director, a gay musician, but they bring in the young people, they bring in the crowd that bring the money in and keep the church running, but knowing that, it's biblically wrong for this to be going on in the church.
I believe all sin is biblically wrong, and so I attempt to try to preach to a culture of people to preach that all sin will be judged by God, and the whole process of life, we need to be corrective. I don't necessarily know if I could have made it if my grandmother or my past bishop would have disconnected me because of me being a whoremonger or
I know I wouldn't have made it.
You see what I'm saying? I needed them to love me beyond.
Wait. Wait a minute. Did you hear what he just mumbled? He said they threw y'all out. As if he's not a part.
Can y'all Pentecostal?
You bet. Wait a minute. Oh, see, now we're going to go.
That's right.
Let's go.
You do this. Let's go. You do the same thing and you get to church.
Y'all had long skirts on.
Y'all smoke cigarettes doing all praise and worship.
So I like your question, brother. I don't know. I guess what we're all saying is, I am delivered. If you were a pastor, is Brother John still there? Brother John, if you were a pastor, how do you assume to handle that? How do you handle all sin that comes in your church? Whether you have a man beating his wife, whether you have a daughter who has a baby before marriage, whether you have a young man who's attracted to another man, how do you preach that? How do you handle it?
Me personally, I'm old school. I've been old school from I'm like Antoine said, I've been in church all my life, and it's like it seems like we lost old school church. I remember the days if you had that going on in your church, you had to leave. You got to go. But people, it seemed like if they push them out the church, if they leave, I'm going to lose that. But I done heard so many preachers say, I may lose 10, but I'm going to gain 20.
Ooh. You know what, John? Can I be transparent?
They're scared that they lose. If I lose this person, or if I lose this, I'm not going to get the gathering that I used to have.
John, hear me.
It's like you're scared.
My bishop.
That's the truth, really.
That's the truth. That's the real truth.
Pastors are afraid. Lose numbers.
But here's the real truth. Bishop Moles, my pastor, who went on to be with the Lord, covered me while I had a baby out of matrimony. While people called him and told him to not pastor me because of a baby that I had before I got married, he said, if I don't cover him, who will? Somebody has to love you back to life. And until you're a pastor, you really don't know the pressure that we have in terms of, am I failing God? Am I doing right by restoration? Because we have scriptures that suggest that we which are spiritual ought to restore such a one. So is there a legislation to restoration? Is there a cutoff point? Is there a narrative that can be restored and can't be restored? And I know what you're saying because I'm old school too. And I struggle with that conviction. But I don't.
But can I just say something? When I'm talking clinically, and I hear what the brother said because he's from a generation. He's also from a cultural group that this is, of course, doctrinal group that this is what was taught. But also, I think that the greatest issue at this point is even if you recognize someone that is, so to speak, that is homosexual, the issue from a public health standpoint is not the people that you can identify that is, it's the people that stay and that are down low. That's the public health issue that we're having. More people present themselves clinically, and sometimes a lot of the therapists they'll say, I just didn't know that such and such was. So how do you assess that if you get the people out that look that way, but what do you do with the people that are still sitting there and they got that and something else going on? It is the worst public health crisis that we have. The people that stay and still look down low and they still do it on the side, commit all kind of sexual things that go on and disease.
That's unfair.
How do you assess them? What discernment level are you going to use to assess
That's a great
them
paradox,
that stay?
though, because if the church addresses it, then we say church hurt. So if the pastor says, well, until you can control that urge, you can't serve any longer. Then it's church hurt. But then like Twan said earlier, he said that people who are not of the faith, they're looking for that standard, that level of better life, that righteousness that we sing and preach about. So the church is in this great paradox where we're in the middle. If we address the issues, it's church hurt. If we decide to show grace and extend grace, it's not church hurt, but now we don't have a standard, and people are saying they do anything in the church, so why come to the church?
And then for a public health issue and a clinical issue, most of the people, what are you going to do with the people that said, I found out that this dude that's married to a woman is also with a man? That's hurt as well. And again, what I'm suggesting, just from a clinical and a public health standpoint, we are having more statistical issues with people that are down low than people that are so to speak. So again, all I'm saying is let's make sure that we understand. If you want to address it, you still have to be able to address it from your perspective. Maybe at your church this is not what you have, but they're over in Baltimore. There are over 3,000 churches.
Absolutely.
With options. And I continue to go back to the fact that there's some denominational, some groups, you won't even go in. You don't even go to them with that because you know you're not accepted anyway.
We have a caller.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Asking for a friend, you're live.
John, we appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Asking for a friend.
I'm here.
Hey, well, what's your name?
Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
You have the floor. You got to turn your background radio down.
Okay.
And then we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah,
Okay.
can y'all hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Yes.
Okay, good. One of the things I'm kind of having y'all digress a little bit. Just going back to the pandemic and seeing that the social, as far as social media is concerned, about how you think y'all reaching folks now that as far as like say Zoom and different social media aspects, how you think you're reaching folks now with your ministry, as far as just making sure they kind of you're reaching out to people in the community.
One of y'all can answer that.
Well, I don't. Zoom virtual church is a challenge, and you would have to be in the pastor's position to understand it. Many of the people who come on to my live on virtual church are either members of my church or members of another church. It's not a lot of new converts who come to church because in the narrative of many persons in the world, they only know the names or in terms of the icons of the church. So they go to the bigger names and watch their lives. I think that what we have to do, we're all struggling for relevance, and because we were not prepared for the pandemic, we are all learning as we go on how to minister effectively and how to do better. To buy the appropriate equipment is the biggest thing, and in terms of being able to reach a greater masses. But right now, it's a learning experience for me, and I don't necessarily know how good of a job I'm doing. I know that I have more.
Awesome job.
I know I have more members that come to my church physically than then come on to my virtual church, and that's a challenge for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for calling.
That was good.
So why is there a decline in church attendance?
I think
There's several variables.
Go ahead, Leroy.
Yeah, there's several variables involved. One is people are moving to different places.
That is right.
They're moving culturally. Some people are evolving, and as you mentioned earlier, there's persons that don't want to be bound by a particular place with the responsibility and accountability and the discipline of that particular place. Yeah. And they don't want to accept what they call the God of their ancestors, not understanding that it has more to do with not tradition, but what you need and necessary for your life in your relationship. Right. And so there's several variables. There's so many more. I mean, there's the relationship quality of it. There's the quality of your own life. As Dr. Daniel said, there's the needed therapy that you need more than a word. You need a therapist.
And people are working more. People have 2 and 3 jobs, and now one of the real shifts in the church has definitely not just been because people just don't want to go sometimes. Yeah. It's been a real shift in technology. It's convenient. I mean, it's convenient for you to be at home and to be able to get done what you need to do, than to come to a place for some people. So every culture, every age brings innovation, always brings major shifts as well. And we have had major innovation. You know, again, what we look like beyond this particular moment, people have still, when you look at statistics, people have still given.
That's what a lot of pastors.
They have preserved a lot of the churches as well.
I think the reason the pandemic is not being celebrated, but I mean, and to a sense where they're saying, I hear a lot of people saying, I like it better this way. They're like, because I ain't got to deal with all other foolishness. I can go get my word, give my money, and then go to brunch.
Church was never meant to be convenient. I don't know what theology and doctrine and philosophy that people subscribe to. Church has always been designed to bring us together, to learn, to worship, to fellowship. I think that we have now drifted down carnal corridors, and we've come up with any excuse not to do what we know to do. And I mean, the pandemic has caused me to look at church different. I definitely believe that. There's some things that I mean, for me, traditional church is not celebrated. So my type of church and my style of worship has always been frowned upon because people don't assume they can be edified with the Pentecostal charisma that we offer. However, when I look across the board, the church is going through a moment of trends. And so now we're fighting. Okay, so now I got to be more. Now we're saying what we wear is more relevant than what we preach. So I got to be seen in skinny jeans and a tore-up shirt to be relevant versus the theology that I preach, and I'm just not going to.
You ain't got a fedora. You ain't got God.
We got to be honest on the other side, though. We have shown them a circus. If I be very honest, we've shown them a circus, a flat-out circus where they log on and every video is a bunch of shouting and a bunch of men hooking arms with men and big buns on their head. We have literally shown them that on every live every day of the week. I'm not gonna hold that. I'm not going. No cap. My live. No cap. Yeah. Every video that's really on live right now, it's a shouting video. So we've now presented us as a bunch of clowns. If we keep it 100, that's all they show.
You know what I got from shouting? My God done gave me a mini deliverance from shouting.
I am delivered.
I have gotten the presence of the Lord. And Dr. Kevin Daniels, I'm not going to look at you, but you wouldn't be a doctor right now if it wasn't for a night service on Haywood Avenue and you cried out in the corner and bellied out to God. Bishop Robert Evans said, you're going to need this one day. And I believe it. I am not intimidated.
But Brian, we're not talking about your authentic. Here's what I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the realness of the shout.
Right.
I'm talking about these shows we watching on Instagram.
We have to learn how to
they just jumping around, a bunch of kids. You can see it. It's very blatant and obvious now. All they want to do is shout. That's it. They don't care about nothing else. They don't want to live nothing. They don't want to produce nothing. They don't want to be nothing. But as long as they got a great shouting video.
Applicable to the culture as well.
But we also got to be careful
the culture
to try to judge someone's heart. Because we don't know how sincere a person is.
I learned a long time ago you got to stop saying what is God and what isn't God.
And what isn't,
no man has that.
Y'all sitting here being phony. Y'all done watch some of them videos and said the same thing I just said. It was a circus.
I think the greater issue is the church.
I think it was octopus. I don't
not being confident in themselves.
Which one was it? Leroy, octopus or Nutter Butter?
Blow the trumpet in Zion.
Blow the trumpet.
Have you gained members or lost members in the pandemic? Have you anybody joined your church in the pandemic?
No, we haven't even had official opening. So
on your virtual church, nobody joined your church?
No, not
because we got friends who've claimed that we know that many people have joined their churches in the pandemic.
Well, we don't know, but they said it.
Well, I mean, because people also need
post a whole lot of stuff.
But institutions and structures have failed them too.
With 3 kids. We have 5.
You only got 3 kids on your picture. Where your other 2 step church was
jam-packed. It ain't but 6 kids in there.
Like, I know you got 5 kids.
We was doing that pre-COVID.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Church was jam-packed. You only had 6 chairs. It's not hard to jam-pack.
Right, you know, because someone wrote, but we've had a few people join through the pandemic, not many.
Yeah,
about
I'm
3.
Not gonna lie, I had 5 people join, and they were from the community, and I don't know if they joined because we gave them food or we gave them a handout.
But that's
outreach.
I get it, but I'm saying some of those people
evangelism.
never come back though. You got to understand.
Okay.
Some of those people only come back. They're not assets. They're a liability. They only come to get something from the church.
Yeah.
So the church becomes like a welfare center for them. Okay. Every time they come through, they need a bill paid. They need groceries. Right. They need cigarettes.
They're not coming for the experience.
They're not. Yeah. So that's a different dynamic.
Yeah, very true.
And
Very
then
true.
the challenge is, how can you really join, if you will, with the absence of the assembling of the saints? That we're just
virtual
doing this
pastoring.
online.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
Don't get Clay going. You hear that?
I'm just saying,
I'm not saying it's not possible to build relationship. I'm just simply
online?
saying that what we call there can be relationship built online.
A meaningful relationship.
We do doctor's appointments virtually now.
Yeah.
But it's not a relationship.
It is. I trust them with my life.
It's not. No, meaning
my doctor told me
that's still a business.
My doctor told me I got to come in so he can see my tongue.
It's still a business.
He said I need to
you know
look at your tongue
you know what I mean?
physically.
Yeah, you paying them. You know, a little different. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, Daniel Burst, we don't give out cigarettes. I was just making a suggestion.
But I mean, there's nothing you're going to be. But in the final analysis, though, you're not going to be able to do anything with the church. The church is here. And the church is God's apparatus for the end time. So it's not nothing you're going to be able to do to get rid of it. God will resurrect people to have His church. So it's nothing you're going to be able to do to get rid of it, because it is from an eschatological standpoint, it is the ultimate climax as far as God is concerned to bring Christ back.
Amen.
So he can't, because if we get rid of it at this point, what you going to do with the book of Revelation? You got to have it. You're going to have to have it.
So are because it's not, people don't want to get off of the whole church hurt thing. So are the complaints legitimate?
Well,
yes, I think complaints are legit. I think that we need to revisit.
It's a good one, Clay.
Oh, sure.
People get married to people they only connect with online. Because you said you can't build a relationship online.
But then at some point you come together.
What about ChristianMingle.com?
Consummate the marriage.
Yeah, at some point you get offline and meet each other. Right. So you may start out online.
You know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and maybe you guys are too profound to admit it. I may have lost members because of my immaturity at one point, like just not knowing. Pastoring is one of those things you just don't know what to do. You can't make everybody happy. On the job training. And some people are like, well, I didn't like how he said that and didn't give me the benefit of the doubt, and so you're learning. So I think people are coming back to church.
Well, they said, of course we can build a relationship online. We can't touch or see God.
He touches you every day.
So did ChristianMingle.com.
How'd you wake up, Giovanna, if you can't touch or see God?
God didn't touch you.
Because that's how you got up. God touched you. Because he's a spirit. He's not physical.
Yeah.
You went on farmerslinkup.com.
Right. You got to touch him in the Holy Ghost.
You didn't find God on Christian.
There's a whole lot of clinical disorders as well that say that you never touch somebody and you can still have a relationship with them. And people prefer not to touch. They will stay on just a distant. But there are some clinical disorders.
That's why that's the
I
part.
like that.
That's the part I don't want.
That's the part I don't have.
I want a God I can rock and shake.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Rock them and shake them. Shake them and rock them.
I knew that's what he was
going to.
You
You like that type of preaching, Leroy.
Oh, I do.
Leroy like to be shaken rock.
So what do you guys believe can be done to improve the connection between the community and the church, the black community and the church?
I'm following the lead of persons like Dr. Daniels, John Watts, Antoine Burton, Dwayne Johnson,
Marvin McKinstry.
Yeah. Those are my friends who I respect their grind.
Yeah.
And when they call me to come out, I come out.
We are us.
We come out. They have shown me the power of one another. And what's funny is this pandemic has united people who don't even believe the same thing.
That's what I like about what y'all doing.
That's amazing to me that we are walking up the street with Muslims.
Yep.
Yeah.
Atheists, Catholics, hand to hand, because we understand that the job is extremely important, and I stand in the back and I do it. So I think that we need to follow the lead of people who are doing it and kind of just stand with them.
And those guys are brothers. When I say brothers,
serious.
When I say brothers, the kind of conversations that we had, I remember one of them saying, "Listen, I know where to go if this doesn't work." Oh. I know where to go with this.
That's serious.
And it must be known that they offer more than religion.
Yeah.
There are resources that are available.
Yeah.
But persons have a proclivity to not do their research or garnish the total information, especially when you're just looking for a handout.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you don't care when you're looking for a handout. You just want what you want. You don't care what they talk about.
And it's literally okay for people that this is not their lane, for them not to do that. We do want y'all to come out so we can get 10,000, but I mean,
right.
But at the end of the day, no, we're not walking at this point. Oh, okay. We're just kind of giving food and helping people out. Okay. Yeah, right. But we're giving free testing, of course, at the church, outside of the Church University of Maryland on Thursday at 10:30 to 2. So if anybody want to come out and just get a free test without a referral, please do.
Y'all just tested for
So
COVID-19,
are we doing too much?
Yeah, University of
I didn't
Maryland.
want to
at the church.
1919. We didn't want to think it was going to 1919, baby.
15.
I got a little bum buck right here.
That's 15.
I need you to lay hands on my little butt. Excuse me. That's brown. Excuse me.
I'm trying to figure out why this bump won't disappear.
We're not here for that.
Y'all are crazy. So are we doing too much as the church
from a
civic standpoint? So are we too much? Are we trying to do too much? We're trying to? It seems like the weight's being placed on the church to do everything. They were out protesting, and I think a riot broke out or something, and someone wrote and said, "Well, why aren't the pastors out here like so?" So are we doing too much? Are we abandoning? A pastor once put on Facebook, "We've prayed enough. It's time to get in the streets." So to hear a pastor say that we prayed too much is to me was a bit disheartening.
I think that's unfair. I mean, because of the diversity of the body as well.
Right.
I think that we can do a lot ultimately because we're diversified. Okay. We have people that are in the church that's going to take care of the people we bring in. But I just don't believe, and I don't think we value the diversity in the body as well. We think that everybody should be, and I hate when people start saying, that's where y'all supposed to be outside. But hold up a minute.
Right.
Everybody in your family is not outside of your house too. Like at one point you got
somebody got to stay inside,
and you're going to need somewhere to go. So again, because we all can't just do ministry when rain, sleet, hail. So again, I think they're unfair. People are unfair because we can be everything to all people if we find our lane.
That's the key you've been saying. Like I noticed you've been saying a lot, and I totally agree with you. Like that's a thing for me. Like I believe, and I'm harsh against when I see that stuff because it's not that I don't hear their hearts and what they're trying to do, but sometimes your heart can lead you into places that you can't handle. So be careful that you're stepping into a world. You stepping into them streets. Like we're not talking about the church where you got a deacon and an adjutant that's going to stop them from getting to you. When you say something out your mouth to somebody in the street, they're going to come right to your face. And now, are you graced to handle that?
And they have done it.
And then the rebuttal also is, then what are you doing then?
Right.
Yeah, that's
if you simply have all these suggestions about what we should be doing, what you doing? I want to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's what I want to know.
They give us a
I asked him. I said, "Well, were you there?" He said, No, I'm going tomorrow. I said, "Okay." I said, "No, okay."
But the level of persecution that you and I are going to experience as we continue to go forth is predicted. So again, we're going to have to decide what kind of people we're going to be in spite of people talking about us as well, because it's going to get more persecution is going to come because two streams are running, the mystery of iniquity and the mystery of godliness. They're going to continue. So you and I are going to have to adjust to the fact ungodliness will be with us. That's what the days of Noah is all about. It's going to be with us, and we're going to have to still figure out how we're not going to be so offended by this moment.
Right.
Wow.
I have a question for the entire panel.
Still got to build the ark.
I have a question for the entire panel.
Jesus, that was that would preach all day.
I feel like
I felt it about spirit.
Hold on, if you didn't feel the Holy Ghost, did you feel the Holy Ghost right there?
Clay don't have it.
no.
Did you feel the Holy Ghost at all?
He got to stay in his lane.
There they go. Wednesdays.
And I felt the Holy Ghost on Wet Wednesdays.
I don't know what Wednesday.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That is.
Yes, I do.
Be like,
We can go there. Let's go there. Let's go there. I got more real niggas than y'all got at these churches.
Guys,
that's what's today.
This is Monday Night Raw.
That's why we being raw. Y'all calling it Monday Night Raw.
That ain't the Holy.
Wet Wednesday, Monday Night Raw.
I was saying, Claiborne, did he feel the power of God when Dr. Daniels was talking? He was like, "Oh, it was good." I just wanted to confirm, like, it was.
Meaning, mine is real. So if I don't, you mean so because like you believe that you have a monopoly on the Holy Ghost. So
I don't believe I have the
monopoly.
I
so if you say God, then God. I don't believe that. You
have the way the Bible says. That's what the Bible
He said,
says.
"You don't have God, you got diabetes." Blow that trumpet.
All the healing.
We know one thing. We believe you got diabetes.
We believe for the salvation of sinful one must be born again, which includes genuine repentance, water baptism in Jesus Christ's name, and the baptism of the Holy Spirit. That's what the Bible says. So you got to have that. And have you received since you believe?
So do y'all believe that the character of the church is a direct reflection of the state of the pulpit?
You said the who?
So the church, where we are as the body of Christ, is a reflection of where the pulpit is. So do you believe that the preachers, that maybe we need to pull back some as it relates to our transparency?
I believe we're too carnal, we're too
because
secular.
it's hard for them to respect us as pastors because we're too.
Absolutely.
Well, then most of us, we really underestimate millennials. Millennials still like they still are very conservative.
Yeah,
they may know things about you, but they don't want you to tell them all of that.
They don't want to know. Yeah.
I think we become addictive to adaptation. Where we want to fit in.
Yeah,
we don't have to.
We don't have to.
No.
I just said ooh because it felt good to say. What's that word again? Add to what? What is it?
An addiction to adaptation.
And what is that? What does that adaptation mean?
We want to fit in. We want to fit in.
Morgan State.
We
sound like a cigarette.
There's some unicorns in the kingdom who have done a plethora of things and seem to have done great in success in ministry. But there is a consequence to being carnal and secular. When you're trying to win the world, once you lose influence, it's hard to get it back.
Bishop Moore said, what did Paul say? He said a lot, Bishop. So
Paul said a lot, Bishop Moore.
What Paul said, Bishop.
Bishop Moore, what did Paul say? I became what? Become preachers. Bishop Moore, we know the Bible. Stop it. We've been properly catechized.
We got a doctor, a reverend, a bishop, a theologian. We got everything in this room. You ask about Paul.
Yeah. What did Paul say, Bishop Moore?
Go sit down and find a sweet rest
What
number.
Bishop Moore is that?
We love you, Bishop Moore. Don't worry.
What Bishop Moore is it?
It doesn't matter. Whatever Bishop Moore is.
I don't know, Bishop Moore.
Thank you for watching.
Paul said a whole lot, Bishop.
Paul said a whole lot of things, Bishop Moore.
He said a whole lot.
So what do you say?
He said I became what?
That I might save some. We understand.
We know the word.
He said, "Don't come for the Bible. We're not coming for the Bible. We're coming for you."
That's the ones that get a blanket statement. We ain't coming for
you.
the Bible. We coming for you.
Bishop Moore first act. There is no Bishop Moore first act. Only Shawwell's at the first act.
It's only on Curl down there.
You ain't no bench warmer.
These I know.
Y'all are crazy, man.
We love you, man.
We love you, Bishop Moore.
Don't take it personal, man. I don't want to fight nobody.
You probably know him.
I don't know.
No smoke.
He probably could. He don't want no smoke, Bishop.
We don't want no smoke, man.
You're not gonna get me in trouble from Dr. Daniels. But if he wasn't here, I would tell you about. I would point your hand towards this camera right now, Bishop Moore, so I can tell you what God told. Don't you ever in your life tell me what Paul said. You just lost a preaching engagement to me, you dummy. No, I'm joking.
These clowns need Jesus.
My new T-shirt line coming out. You clowns need Jesus. Call me up. I'll drop it off to you.
Insulin.com.
25 for the small sizes, 45 for the XXXLs. No, we joking.
Just 1 minute.
Crazy,
Let me call Bishop Shawwell and ask him, does she know Bishop Moore?
Y'all better learn how to laugh. That's
Y'all better.
therapy.
We had a person here last week, 2 weeks ago, told us they was engaged to Ed Reed.
You are lying wonder. The truth ain't in you. You ain't never been a raving cheerleader.
So we getting all types of liars and hypocrites on our show.
But finally, we got a real doctor.
That was an awesome conversation.
We had a ball. Can I say this,
that
Clay?
was awesome, yeah.
Bishop Daniels sacrificed some of his time to come with us to share with us.
Absolutely.
Let me say this.
We appreciate him.
He is one of the examples for all preachers that you can be successful and not be arrogant.
Yeah.
He's never branded his academic success to me. He's never even disqualified some of the principles when clearly some of us are not on his academic level. You see what I'm saying? But he's always been embracive, and I really appreciate him. He pastors a great church. He's done a tremendous job there. It's amazing when I get in the community and play ball with people who say they had his class, and they would say, "Man, that man's sharp,
That's
man.
great, ain't it?
That man's sharp." So we really appreciate you for coming to.
I like his balance.
I like his balance. I like his balance.
Church and world.
And he keeps Gucci glasses on.
He got Gucci glasses on all the time, down to the and he's sharp. Don't make him put his bow tie. He hasn't gained any weight in 20 years. He weighed about 160 for like all my life. He'll never have a stomach. I don't think the man eat, Clay.
No,
Because he didn't eat down at Boaz.
he's
He
a
just drank water.
vegetarian.
So what do you eat? You eat that? Do you eat it all?
Yeah.
You eat, okay. I've never seen you eat it in your life. I never. All I said is you drink water. So, okay. So we love you.
You're gonna Daniel fast forever.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Man,
we love you. We love
I'm
you.
happy to have him, man.
Thank you.
He's a big
Awesome.
brother. I've known him
Thank
for
you.
25 years, 30 years of my life. And I respect him. Lord knows I do.
So,
Absolutely.
Bishop, what's going on with you? You have anything you want to announce? Any services or programs you're supporting, initiatives?
Well, I mean, the big thing going on with me, I can't get on to it, but I talked to you about is that is going on. The principal investigator,
Awesome, man.
and we're looking to see what happens with that, what people think.
Yeah.
Doing, focus groups and things like that, and just kind of get a feel for what's happening with that. So I'm excited about it. We're doing. Mayor Young just made me in charge of the mental health and COVID recovery for the city.
Congratulations.
What's up?
So
That's big.
I'm really
that's
excited
major.
about that. We're going through the 14 districts. And I'm real excited about the trauma bill with Councilman Z. Cohen that I'm working very close with. And we're going to do some real powerful things.
Pause. Javonna Jackson said, and he don't use church money. He has 3 jobs. We all have a lot of jobs, Javonna. I don't know what you're talking about. You ain't talking about nobody in this panel.
I already say.
Yeah, we got a lot of streams of income. So he must be. You on your church, Javonna?
Yes, she did.
Okay, well, you got to pass. Okay, you got to pass. You family, because I'm about to go at you. What's up, Dr. Javon?
Thought you was a
She don't use church. He don't use church.
I was really trying to slide us real quick.
And y'all remember St. Martin really well. And God has really,
Yes.
I've seen a major recovery and restitution, and we're doing some phenomenal things. And I am so proud of all of them for making me their leader.
Yeah.
That was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Wow.
How many years has it been since?
20.
20 years.
Wow.
That's the best thing that could have happened to me. I wouldn't have been able to be a leader had I not had a people.
Wow.
So, and
Lord,
they
that's
really,
beautiful.
So I really appreciate
Wow,
it.
get a
y'all
lot
can't
of
call
love
yourself
and heart.
pastors because you don't got no members. These are the risks.
But I also tell people that have smaller churches as well. My church is a smaller church, but I also tell people with smaller churches as well. In academia, you appreciate special ed classes because you ultimately get paid more.
That's true. That's true.
So keep
Very
your special ed
educated.
class.
I never knew what to. I don't know how I want to digest that. That's the first time I'm on panel you disagree. But you're not going to call my church a bunch of retards.
Put your helmet on, baby. Put your helmet on. Come to worship in your helmet.
But
You're not calling Mother Kathy no retard.
Girl, you so special.
No. Calling my mother, I got some good numbers. They're a little crazy, but I'm not going to say that.
That was a wonderful way
I'm
to say
crazy.
that.
Yeah,
But
no.
that's
I mean, again, because everybody, you may not elevate into a major mega church, and you need to still appreciate
Right about now,
the
I'm
fact
a
that
big
God
church
gave you
right now.
something
I don't know
small.
what I got right there.
I do not want to be a mega church right now.
I'm glad I got a small church. I still got a church. I still can pay my gas.
Clay, you didn't ask me what I got going on. We got a fish fry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A shameless plug.
Well, what's going on, House of
Fish
Cheetah?
fry in the House of Chili. Saturday.
Yo, we
12 to 8 p.m.
Everybody.
$10.
What time
you
we gonna
need to
get
come
there?
and support.
What time we go to the fish fry? I gotta
Man,
go.
bro.
Let's go like 2.
12 to
2
8.
o'clock. Yeah.
Let's go like 2.
If y'all meet us out there too, one person gonna get a dinner.
No, I'm about one too.
You gonna buy one, so that's 4 dinners.
Yeah, I buy one.
So we gonna all buy dinner. If you meet us there too and say thugs think it's at the low
Leroy's Church.
Saturday Saturday
18th, 12 to 8 p.m.
What's the address?
541 South Beachfield Avenue.
541 South.
Here's what they gotta say.
229.
They gotta walk up and say, asking for a friend.
They gotta say, ask for
They say that.
or they gotta say they just blacked out. Or they gotta say, these are the risks that we take.
It's only $10.
Wait a minute. We
Only
gotta tell it.
$10.
This is the first night Clay tell a story one more time because the people loved it. Please tell a story.
Tell a story, and then he gonna clap his hands while we sing.
You gotta clap. What
or
is no
we gonna
Bishop?
go to war. You gonna clap your hands and you gonna sing this up. Put that camera on him. I say.
Put the camera on him down. This is Monday Night Raw.
So there was an
individual. No foolishness.
Yes, he gonna clap his hands right here.
He gonna like this. He gonna like this.
So there was an individual who was dating someone, and they had some issues where he was cheating. So he caught him cheating a few times.
Wait a minute. He and he, right?
Yeah. So it was two men, and it's a true story. And he was cheating on his partner. So as a way to make up, he had a business trip over in London. So he took him to London with him to work. So for whatever reason, he didn't lock his phone. He got in the shower, and while he was in the shower, of course, he went through his phone. He saw text messages from people from people he was dating. So he became angry and said, I'm going back to the United States. I'm breaking up with you. So they were living together at the time. It's a true story. I'm going back to home, and I'm leaving. We're over. He took an early flight back to the United States, went to the apartment, and began to gather his things. But, of course, you know what he did? He started looking through stuff, started rummaging. He found medicine that was prescribed to someone who had a STD. He also found some paperwork from the doctor for prescribing, diagnosing what he had and writing down what he needed to do. So he called his lover, who was still in the UK, and said to him, I can't believe you cheated and then you gave me an STD. And his response was simply, these are the risks that we take.
The Holy Ghost
and
gave
hung
us
up
a little
on
song, and we just start singing, these are the risks that we take. Oh, Lord, these are the risks that we take. Here's the verse, here you go.
When things don't go as planned,
hey,
you guys
lift up holy hands. Say, these are the risks that we take.
I told y'all. We love y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank y'all for
tuning in.
Kevin Daniels saying that wrong. Meet us here
Dr.
next
Kevin
Monday.
Daniels, we love you,
the
man.
Boss.
Yes, y'all. So we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Same time,
same station. Y'all.
A different day, but the same old thing. I need a change in my life. I'm so tired. There has to be a new way. I need help in these last days. He said, come closer to me, yeah. Come closer. Give me your hand and just follow me, yeah. I got rest for the weary and burdened. Sound good to me. So put your trust in me. In you? Whoa. Oh, okay. Whoa. Now it's a brand new day outside. I never do all I had to do was lift my eyes to the hill. That's where my help coming from. Come closer to me, yeah. Give me your hand and just follow me, yeah. I got rest for the weary and burdened. So put your trust in me. Whoa, whoa. Everybody say we've been making love for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Put your hand in his hand. I just wait on it. I just wait on it. Come a little closer. He said, come closer to me. Come closer. Give me your hand and just follow me. I'll take you where you need to go. I got rest for the weary and burdened. Oh, he got it. So put your trust in me. Don't look nowhere else. Closer to me.